You're listening to the In Search SEO podcast by Rank Ranger.
That's right, you are listening to the In Search SEO podcast. The podcast for painting the town red with succulent search marketing insights. Super spectacular show for you because we have a spectacular guest. Yosef Silver, SEO and culinary expert, is here to talk about creating content, the coveted content that ranks well, reads well, and shares well. We'll get into searchability, shareability, how to create content that's findable and that pops. Tips and tricks for a content structure that engages, and how to achieve content zen. Finding a good content balance. But before that, adapt or die. Why refusing to look at content, the SERP and SEO with fresh eyes might be killing you. I am your host, Mordy Oberstein. I am joined by she who loathes sarcasm, Sapir Carabello.
Yeah, totally loathe.
You hate sarcasm. You do. I even, you like, was that sarcastic? I don't like that.
What are you talking about? I'm the most sarcastic person.
You are not.
Yes,
you
I
think
am.
you are. That is not true.
No, I am.
Are you being sarcastic?
Well, maybe.
No, you're not. You do not have a sarcastic bone in your body. How are you, by the way?
I'm good. How are you?
I almost broke my ankle. I'm not joking. I didn't tell anybody. So, of course, we're not in the office. We're still at home. So no one knows this. I almost broke I've been sitting here with my leg up like in like a bandage for the last week. No one even knows.
What happened?
My children. My children happened. I was playing the greatest game humankind has ever created. Baseball.
Oh, come on.
And I have 9-year-old twins. I was gonna say I have 2 9-year-old twins, but that's redundant because that means do you have 4 children who are twins or 2? I have 2. I have one set of twins. Very confusing way to say this. I have one set of twins who are 9 years old. They're both boys. We're playing baseball on a basketball court because where I live, baseball's not a big thing, unfortunately. So one of them hits. I thought he was not going to hit this pitch at all. I thought it was a terrible pitch. I almost yelled out, "Don't swing," because they get really upset when they strike out. And he hits it like really far, like way over my head, way over the other kid's head who's playing out in the field. And his 9-year-old brother, who's catching the ball, throws it back, trying to get him out. Which this never works out. No one ever gets out when you play with 3 people. If you know baseball, that's self-evident. If you don't know baseball, just trust me.
Whatever.
He throws the ball. I try to catch it to get his brother out, and I didn't see that they dropped the bat right where I was stepping, and I slipped on the bat, and I pounding the floor in pain. And then one goes, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "No, I'm not all right." You know what the first thing I did, of course?
What?
I blamed the children.
Of course.
First thing, like, who put the bat here? Why'd you drop the bat here? So not only was I in excruciating pain, but I then immediately felt guilty for blaming a 9-year-old for dropping a bat where exactly he was supposed to drop a bat.
Okay.
So I try to smooth that over and hobble home. And then the best part of the story is my wife's a nurse.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, "Oh, hey, my ankle, look at this thing. It's like swollen." And it's like a thing the size of a tennis ball on like the left side of my left ankle. This doesn't look good. She's like looking at it, "Yeah, all right. You know, put some ice on it, whatever." I'm like, "Is this broken? Like, what's going on?" I'm like Googling it. Like, is it? She's like, "Well,
never Google your like injury or symptoms or anything.
Well, that's the problem when your wife's a nurse, because like they see all these like horrible things. So, like this was like nothing. I'm like, "I don't know. I think it's broken." She's like, "Well, do you want to go to the emergency room?" I'm like, "I don't know. You tell me. You're the nurse." She's like, "Yeah, whatever. You can go if you want." I'm like, "Oh my god, this is ridiculous." She's like, "You're a freaking nurse. Like, I don't know. Tell me what to do." I'm like, "All right, we're going." We're going. So we left, and then I sat there, and it wasn't broken, but it hurts like a mother. It still hurts a week later. It's a mess.
Okay. Hope you'll feel better soon.
I hope so too. It really hurts.
Yeah.
I don't like pain.
Okay.
What's your prediction, Morty? To quote Mr. T from Rocky 3? Pain. Okay. Do not forget, we put out a new episode of the In Search SEO podcast each and every Tuesday. You can find it on the Rank Ranger blog. You can find it on Stitcher. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on SoundCloud. Or you can find it wherever great podcasts are found. And, of course, you can find it and you can subscribe on iTunes. Also, don't forget, when you want an awesome rank tracker that goes beyond just rank tracking, that tells you when your keywords are at risk of being removed from page 1 of the SERP, or rather your URLs are being removed from page 1 of the SERP, or when you are ranking above the fold or not ranking above the fold, or what helps you track keyword cannibalization in 2 easy clicks. I kid you not. You want Rank Ranger. Head over to rankranger.com. Sign up for a 14-day free trial. No credit card necessary because we are not spammy. All right. Awesome show for you today. Had a freaking ton of fun talking about shawarma and SEO with Yosef Silver. All right, we talked about...
I hate shawarma.
You hate shawarma. Oh, I love shawarma. Whatever. I'm not going to get into why you don't like shawarma, because that's just ridiculous in its own right.
Okay.
Okay, but we have great stuff coming at you about creating well-rounded content. But before we get to that, I personally do not think we appreciate how drastically the way users digest content and what they expect out of that content has changed. So I am about to show you what happens when your SEO and content strategy fall flat. So there are a lot of verticals, a lot of sites, a lot of whatnots, a lot of what have yous that are stuck in an old way of thinking. And I don't think they realize, or I think we as a collective community realize that we are in the middle of a shift, a very, very big shift.
A shift?
Shift. It's when, in baseball, when the second baseman and the shortstop move over between second and first base to stop a left-handed hitter from getting a hit. That's the shift in baseball. Not talking about that, obviously.
I don't care about baseball.
Ruining baseball, by the way. The shift is ruining baseball. The shift I'm talking about is one of those big moments in history where content consumption is changing. And how we consume content, what we expect out of the content is changing. And of course, it's hard to see something when it's in the middle of changing, but it's changing.
Do you have an example?
Sure. Zero-click searches are the prime example of this. Readers don't know. Readers don't want to read anything other than a snippet in some cases, right? They don't want to see more than a snippet of content for those super top-level keywords. You know, the temperature outside today. Don't want to go to a site. Don't need a click.
Right.
Just want it right there. Don't make me go to a website. Even that click and the waiting for the load time for the page, even if it's super fast, they don't want that. They're just right there immediately on Google. That mentality is a shift. They mentally expect immediate answers, which Google and the SERP, of course, give them. And I think we're just sort of, coming to terms with that now, maybe, right? Google is just giving people what they want, and in these cases, it's really nothing you can do about it because what we consume and how we consume it has changed. But I want to show you, this goes beyond zero-click searches, because I think we get hung up in these SEO buzz topics, and they totally blind us to the larger, broader scope of change. Zero-click searches are just one part of a broader set of changes that I think are happening at the moment. And it's like one of the, I'll tell you, it's like one of those moments, I think we've talked about this on this podcast when we talked about zero-click searches. It's like the 1960 presidential election. Do you remember when we spoke? Here's a history question for you, Sapir. I'm testing you now.
Oh, no.
Okay, here's a teacher that I am. We spoke about this on the podcast before. What was unique about the 1960 U.S. presidential debates? It was the first live TV debate. And even though...
Oh, right. I think you mentioned it before.
I did. I just told you we mentioned it before on the podcast when we talked about zero-click searches.
I don't listen to you. I'm sorry.
That's quite evident. But the whole thing was, it was Nixon versus Kennedy. Nixon looked, he had a 5 o'clock shadow. He looked grumpy. He looked frumpy. Some other word that ends in P. And there was Kennedy, who looked dapper and sexy and had a full head of hair. And it didn't matter what they said. because Kennedy just looked good and Nixon looked like crap.
Right.
And that was a big shift in how people consumed that sort of content. So we're in the middle of one of those sort of changes. And I can give you an example of this trend, okay? Because I can't define the whole trend for you and offer you, here's all the examples, because they're limitless. But I'll offer you one case about this trend that I think is more prevalent than we think.
Oh, and what trend might that be? Oh, great guru and prophet of all things, search and content.
Oh, you do sarcasm. Look at you.
Oh.
Look at you. Mock me all you want.
Shocked.
Mock me all you want. Go ahead. I don't
I
care.
will.
As is evident.
I always do.
And behind my back, too. I heard what you said behind my back, by the way. I'm not happy about that. The trend that I'm talking about is that entire verticals of content, entire approaches to content, that we take it to be institutions of content are 100% irrelevant. Okay, that was clickbaity. It's not 100% irrelevant, but, more or less. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, master of analysis. Stop speaking in riddles and enlighten us with your wisdom.
Ridiculous. Bite me. Bite me.
No thanks. No thanks.
I'm delicious. Your sarcasm aside, the case I want to talk to you about is documentation, technical content, thing of the past. Total thing of the past. You just don't really want it, at least in the way it's being written and presented. Don't want it.
That's crazy, Morty. Seriously.
So now I can't tell you being You're like the person who cried wolf. The little girl who cried wolf. Are you being sarcastic now? Because no, it's not crazy. It's totally not crazy.
Little boy.
Who?
Anyway.
I didn't hear you. You made a comment I didn't hear.
No, that's okay.
You have to speak up when you make fun of me.
Noted.
Mainly because I have a big mouth. I just keep talking.
Right.
But it's not crazy at all, by the way. The technical content is irrelevant. It's totally not crazy. Google, first off, everyone hates technical content. Totally not crazy at all. The documentation should be irrelevant to a certain extent. I mean, Google doesn't think so. And here's the case. I did a search for how to use Canon M50 as webcam, which I don't know what a Canon M50 is. It sounds like a machine gun, but it's not. It's a webcam. It's a digital camera, which I didn't even know people still use, but okay. Which site, Sapir, do you think ranked on the SERP for that query? Again, the query was how to use Canon M50 as webcam. What do you think?
The way you presented it, I know it's not going to be the right answer, but I'm going to take the bait. Canon?
No.
No. Okay.
No, Canon did not rank at all. I got a video featured snippet. Not at all. Not at all. I got a video featured snippet for some YouTuber, and the rest of the pages was all videos, all of it. Okay, and guess what kind of content Canon didn't really create here?
Video?
And very good. And what content do you think they went with?
Okay, since you mentioned it before, I'll go with technical content.
Technical content. Boring, dry, sets of directions, blah, 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 blah. No one cares when you write that way. Okay? They did not create the kind of content that you think should be there for the user if you understood user intent. And the kicker was, by the way, that they tried going after this keyword. How do I know? Because Canon does rank. It does rank.
I thought you said they don't.
Oh, no, they do rank. If you search for how to use Canon M50 as webcam plus Canon.com, so you have to include the actual website, the actual domain in the query, then they do rank, but below a video box.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
Like,
it's amazing.
Canon.com for them to rank.
Yes, and they still don't rank number one. They still rank under the video box on top. Like, subtle hint to the user, like towards user intent, right?
Right. Super subtle.
So you were the sarcasm today. That's 3 in a row. So
I'm like the sarcasm queen.
Let's not go that far. I'm not sure. You're the queen of many things, none of which are sarcasm.
I know.
And the kicker is, right? Again, the kicker is they tried.
Another kicker.
No, that's the same kicker.
It's the
same kicker.
Okay.
We're kicking a lot of things today.
Right.
They try to rank. It's a page where you can download documentation. Oh, boring. And on it says, hold on, I gotta pull it up. Hold on a second. I wasn't prepared. I'm sorry. I'm a horrible Boy Scout. I was a horrible Boy Scout. On the page.
I want to eat cookies.
No, that's Girl Scouts. Totally different thing.
The same thing.
Yeah, no. Don't want to get me started with the Boy Scouts, please. It's a
We don't
total...
discriminate genders here.
You don't want to get me started with this. We're going to stick to the topic, okay? When you go to
Okay.
Canon.com to see how to use the M50, the all-coveted M50 as a webcam, Canon has a page where you download documentation, blah, 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 blah. Okay? But they have a nice little snippet of content that says, with so many of us relying on video calls to stay connected during these challenging times, the caliber of that connection is key. Turn your compatible Canon camera into a high-quality webcam now. Learn more about the benefits with our intro video. So they are trying. They're using the documentation page to put marketing schlock content on there with a link to some videos. But you know what the problem is here, Sapir? Tell me the problem. You know what the problem is?
That they didn't embed the video?
Right. They didn't embed it there. You have to go to another page to get to that video. We're you can just get this on the SERP. Or just get this on YouTube. Okay, okay, take a step back. The whole format, everything here is just totally off. Okay, adding a sentence is not going to do a damn thing for you. Hell, in this case, you could have written a million more sentences of marketing, whatever. Google wants the video there. The user wants the video there. Now, if you click on the learn more about how to do whatever, you do get a link to a video. 2 videos. 2 very unclear videos by their title. I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. It is the videos have nothing to do with that particular model, but they have to do with that line of camera. Okay, the title's not relevant, and the content was so not YouTube. You know when you go to YouTube to see explainer video? I know because I watched a whole bunch of explainer videos about how to do this thing with the camera. Don't ask me how to do it. Didn't really care. Wasn't really looking for that. I have a terrible memory anyway, and I hate directions. So it's not my thing. It's you go to... Okay, Sapir, you go to YouTube. You see an explainer video. It's like some YouTuber.
Right.
What do you get?
What?
What do you get when you hear the YouTuber explain how to do something?
Yeah.
You get very informal, very laid back. Here's I want to show you how we use this, and here, check this out. It's just laid back. Let me show you how to use this thing. Very, not step by step by step. Step 1, insert this. Step 2, download this. Step 3, do this. It's way less formal.
Right.
It's just here, let me show you how to do this. Right, and then it's a review of the product at the same time, right? It's really great for this. You can see the camera, the picture looks really sharp. Let me show you a picture of the camera, and let me show you how the picture looks on the screen. Looks really good, sounds really good, looks really great. That's not the kind of video that Canon created. It's very formal. They try to have a YouTuber, some sort of quasi fake YouTuber, and it's very step 1. Do this. Step 2, do that. But you're not showing me what the video looks like. You're not really showing me how it actually works. It's very it's they try to be hip and cool by using their documentation as a script to do this. And it didn't work.
Right.
It just totally didn't work.
Right.
Right. Come on, Sapir, you got to comment.
Right, just give Google what it wants, people. You cannot win.
That's my entire point here. For a lot of these queries, documentation content is so old. It's so old school. And I get it. This is my point. Documentation, technical content is a content fixture. It's an institution. We feel we must have this kind of content. This is just, what you do when you create a product. You have this kind of documentation, right? And blah, 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 blah. And by the way, the Canon here couldn't get out of that mentality to such an extent that, they saw, we have to get out of this a little bit. They do kind of see it. They created that video.
Yeah.
But that video doesn't sound like people expect it to sound. It sounds like, it sounds like if you had somebody who created the documentation reading the video, reading the transcript or the script for the video, that's how it would sound. But screw it. Just Canon should hire a YouTuber, embed the video onto a page, do a short how-to to accompany the video. If you want to have the full set of detailed instructions because you can't let it go, so fine. Some users might want that. You can put it there or put it in a downloadable PDF at the bottom of the page, whatever. I don't care. But for this kind of stuff, you really want let me ask you this, Beer. Do you really want some kind of super technical content piece or some super dry video or some super technical PDF? Come on, you're young. You're hip. Tell a boomer like myself what it is that you want. Spill the tea. Spill this tea. Spill it all over the
Come
counter.
on, Morty. You're not a boomer. You're a millennial. Don't sell yourself short like that.
I am not a millennial. First off, I am like there's a term. I think they're called zennials. So people born between 1980 and 1985, of which I was born in, not 85, earlier,
Okay.
who don't feel like they're millennials, which I don't at all, and they're called zennials.
So you have like old soul. That's what you mean?
No, it's just I'm just not a millennial, even though like I was born technically at the very beginning of that period. So of course we have to have another label for ourselves. I'm a zennial, whatever the hell that means.
Oh, that's Daniel. Okay.
Right. No, come on, do people really want this?
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I would much rather watch a cool, easy video than read a whole, I don't know, technical PDF.
Right, even the video
People
has to be
are
cool.
lazy. I mean, our generation is lazy, Just.
I'm not lazy. You're lazy. Because I'm a zennial.
We're all lazy. Come
Nope,
on.
only millennials. Zennials like me are not. We are very type A on the ball. No, but it's right. It's like you want to watch the video, and if you're gonna watch the video, by the way, don't make it a Hallmark movie. Make it something exciting. Make it something engaging, which Kenan did not do.
Hallmark
You and my wife, it's terrible. Oh, horrible.
Oh, they're so cute.
Hang myself,
They're always
please.
so heart-flattering, Kind of.
The worst crap on the planet. But the point is,
No. Oh my
I can't
God,
believe
don't
you. Are you a Hallmark?
I grew up on Hallmark movies.
It's
they have
such
a warm
crap.
place in my heart.
Crap. It's just crap. Please. You kill me every time you say something like that.
Oh my God.
The point being, back on track.
Yeah.
Okay, here you have a well-optimized site. Beautiful. Go to Canon's site. It's a great site. Well-optimized, technically proficient website. Spending tons of money creating content that nobody freaking wants. Why? Because no one actually went to the SERP to check out what's going on and to check their preconceived notions at the door. Because 3 seconds of research would have made a total difference here. Total difference.
So get rid of all technical documentation? That what you're saying?
No. Most of it. Okay, think about it like this, okay? When that stupid bitch of a virus we all know as COVID-19 came around, Google said write health content that the average reader can understand.
Oh.
Right? That speaks to the user, that's translatable to the user. Can you understand half the crap in documentation? Be honest. Come on.
Yeah. Yes, because I'm smart.
No,
But if it's for people like you,
Stop giving me a hard time. Just say the truth.
What?
You don't read documentation. You don't like documentation. No one does. It's a pain in the ass.
Documentation a lot.
The first thing I do when I open a box with documentation in is throw the damn thing in the garbage. Can't stand it. No one wants it. Okay? Simplify it. Okay? In this particular case, because Canon didn't check their preconceived notions and at the same time wasn't really genuinely willing to abandon outdated institutions, which is why they created that video. Like, hey, we'll create the video. People like videos, but they really couldn't throw away that institution and really adopt how people want that kind of video to sound. They totally missed the boat. It is total garbage what they created in the end. I apologize to Canon. What they should have done was simplified it, turned it into a nice how-to, plain language, informal language, do a real video explainer, and most of all, research some queries. See, right? Users, do they really want a step-by-step breakdown? Do they really want that formality here? I mean, look, half the world is sitting at home, working from home, not wearing pants anymore. How formal are we really? Please.
Am I?
That's my point. Like, the world is changing. Content is rapidly changing. We're at a 1960s, presidential debate, TV debate moment, which I don't think we really realize. And we're still hung up on these institutions and not really adapting to what should be adopted. And in this particular case, you can see Canon just gets killed because of it.
Right.
totally gets killed. And I can ramble on more about this and rant on more about this,
I'm sure you can.
but it's the perfect time step here to segue to Yosef Silver on creating well-balanced content that speaks to people the right way and speaks to search engines the right way and speaks to social media the right way. So hit it.
Here comes another search marketing expert. It's time for an In Search interview.
Welcome to another In Search SEO podcast interview session. Today we have not only a prolific industry speaker, not only a search engine journal author, but a man after my own heart, a kosher food connoisseur. Give it up for the founder of Kansas City's Fusion Inbound, Yosef Silver. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So really important question to kick this off, shawarma or falafel?
Shawarma.
Shawarma for sure, right?
Shawarma. Yeah, with amba.
With the with harif.
Yes.
No one knows what we're talking about right now.
Right.
Right.
Went straight into the foodie stuff.
Right. It's good. It's like spicy. It's like shawarma, by the way, in case you don't know, is like a gyro, I guess. Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah, I think it's gyro. Yeah, it's the same thing basically.
Right.
More or less. Lamb or chicken though? Lamb or turkey?
Turkey. I like turkey.
Really? I like lamb. And then the amba is like a spicy mango chutney, I guess.
Right.
Which goes really well on anything.
See, I don't know. Like, I know lamb is like the king of meat, whatever. It just has a weird taste to me.
I think when it's cooked right, when it's cooked badly, it's not enjoyable at all. When it's cooked right, I really enjoy it.
Right. Well, I'm not a good cook, so maybe that's what it is. Although my wife's a good cook. Anyway, we can talk about kosher food from now until tomorrow.
Next episode.
Right. But we're here to talk about content. So you have this thing called a 5-step ideation process for content. We're basically trying to get content that's good content and also content that ranks well. You want to just walk us through that a bit?
Sure, absolutely. What I like to think about when we're creating content for the client is making sure that we're not just creating. I hate seeing like content plans that are like, oh, once a month, on the 3rd of the month, we have to publish a thing. That's not how I like to approach content. I would rather get the client buy-in to create really long-form content that ranks, that delivers, generates leads, whatever the goals are, and making sure that you're not building content for the calendar, you're building content for the user. And there's a number of things I think of that when it comes to content, it's not just the content ideation process, it's not just the content creation process, but I think a lot of places that will fall down is the content distribution process. And you might invest hundreds, thousands of dollars into creating some masterful piece of content, and then it just sits. And I think that content distribution piece and repurposing the content has to be a massive step of these 5 steps.
Okay, so speaking of that, so how do you distribute it? What's the best way?
So, I mean, first of all, know where your audience is. So you don't want to like have a massive Twitter strategy if everyone is on like explore.com or whatever it is. So know your audience, and create the content that is correct for that audience. So even if you are creating video content and you're putting it on like Facebook and YouTube, are you optimizing your end screen for subscriptions, of comments, things like that? Don't treat all platforms the same, and really know where your audience are. I work with a lot of real estate agents, which I know that's a niche that a lot of SEOs hate. I discovered that in preparing for a presentation one time.
Is it real estate? I never know that. Why is that? What's wrong with real estate?
I think it's the competitive nature of it. I found that creating a ton of local content and positioning my real estate clients as almost city ambassadors for where they live has been really successful.
That makes a lot of sense.
We've taken clients who like had the very generic out of the box franchise website that they were given that didn't rank for their name, and like built out great content strategies, which has then fed their social strategies too. So,
a quick point on real estate brokers. So we moved from Baltimore to Israel, and we had a real estate broker halfway across the world. That person for a long time was a point of contact for everything. Yeah. I mean, really, they kind of blew it in the end in our personal experience, but they really had the opportunity to sort of become a local super authority, if you want to call it that.
Oh, totally. They know the neighborhood. They know the city. So one of my largest real estate clients, COVID hit we all shut down. We're all in lockdown. And he was like, I want to be of service for people. And overnight, my team and I wrote an article. It was like 151 things to do with your family while you stay at home. And there's all this fear going on. And we like got all the virtual tours and cooking classes and free apps and whatever it was. And we put together this massive piece of content. And not only did that resonate really well with his audience, but he sent it to his peers. So among his peer group, he was like, this piece of content was like really well received. But the whole position there was like, how can we be of service? Not how can we sell. So we want to create that value in everything we do. Another really great piece we've done, when it comes to long form, think about things that aren't out there. Years ago, I was working with a client that was in accounting. And we realized that on every letter the IRS mails someone, there was a 4 or 5 digit code. And you could go and go to the IRS and look it up in their database and spit it back. But there was no glossary of all those codes. So we crawled that database and wrote this master list.
That's awesome.
All that stuff. So it's finding those niche opportunities that no one's done yet and are relevant and helpful.
When you go long form, because you mentioned it before also, long form content, how do you balance that with readership in a world where the attention span is 8 seconds?
Right. That's a really good question. It's a couple of things. I try and write in short paragraphs and then space it out. So you have a short paragraph and maybe a sentence, try and grab people's attention. Also the placement of your visuals. Mm-hmm. So if you try and in a responsive world, that's not as easy to be mindful of. But if you can try and place a visual just at the bottom of the fold or bottom of the screen as they scroll or as their attention might grab, something like that, has been pretty helpful.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that you can use images as a way to break up the monotony of your post. Even though I don't really need an image right here, but it's just a break.
Yeah, 100%. 2 other things I do. We do a lot of email marketing. Although I got into SEO about 15 plus years ago, I've got really involved in email marketing in the last probably 5-6 years. Animated GIFs in emails will push up your click through and then things like that. Another thing is we have clients that do video content and including a transcription. Now that's not a new trick. That's not something that it's not a surprise to include a transcription, but people often don't take that effort. And there are great AI platforms out there now. Mm-hmm. You don't have to sit there and type it out, or you don't have to go back and get the transcript. There's some great ways to do that through artificial intelligence.
What do you use, by the way, if I can put you on the spot and ask you?
I use Trint.
Okay. So we'll definitely throw a link into there. Check it out. Because we use that also for the podcast. It's a big help. One of the things, by the way, you just mentioned about chunking your content, just to make a point. So I used to teach in Baltimore City, and I had a lot of kids in my class who had special accommodations that they needed to learn. And the most common one for kids with ADD or kids with ADHD is, I think they called it chunking. I don't remember exactly what they called it. But it's you instead of having a massive piece of text that you have to read, you just take a piece, right? And then you pull it out, and then you do another piece, and then another piece, and another piece. It's not overwhelming. If you could set up your content where you have a bunch of headers or subheaders, it's really the same principle. You just use the headers as a way of sort of making it not seem so, that's what I'm looking for, overwhelming and just oh my God, I have to sit through and read 15 minutes of this.
Right. And it's also a good way of structuring your content, not only for readership, but for search. Yeah,
for sure.
So, I mean, I feel like I might be wrong, but in the early days when we were starting to see answer boxes and starting to see featured snippets on the front page of Google, and we're where are my links gone? Content that was formatted really well before we had a formality of schema or structured data. If you were just using headers properly, that was what grabbed those spots.
Yeah.
So it's good for search too.
On the image thing, by the way, I'm going to ask you. I love images. I'm an image person. I don't like stock images so much. I mean, as much as I can avoid them, or the typical stock, someone smiling, whatever it is, I hate them. But finding a good image that's a little bit unique takes a long freaking time.
Yeah.
When you're searching through your images, you're trying to find an image. Just what do you do to cut that time down?
It depends on the client. Some of our clients we've actually coached. Phones have become so much better at photos. I used to be into photography.
Oh, cool.
So I've been able to coach some of my clients and hey, if you're out and about, take photos this way.
Nice.
Here's how to frame a shot. That's the best case scenario if a client is on board and available enough to do that. Obviously, a lot of people are too busy and they just need that content. I use a reverse image search engine called TinEye.
Okay.
Tonight.com. It's a plugin in Chrome. And before I buy a stock image, I want to see how many other people have used that image. I remember once I was on the London Underground. I was on the tube, and I'm looking at like an advertisement. And I'm like, I used that image last week. I know,
yes,
and it just like
I've had
made
that
me
before. I'm like, I know. I totally know where this guy got that image from.
right. Like I have rights to that image too, and I was like, that shouldn't be in a national campaign,
Right?
and we have the tools that I think. I mean, you and I and everyone, people listening to this podcast, we see the internet very differently than the audience we're catering to, and we know these tools exist, and we know how to be better, and it doesn't take a lot of extra energy, and it can make that difference.
Yeah, it's a total game changer. If you have like a really unique image.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, before I got into search, I mean, in high school, I was doing graphic design for a magazine. Like,
oh, cool.
Oh,
nice. That's a great photography, graphic design. What don't you do?
So, like, I had that creative background. Like, I remember, I remember being like a 10-year-old playing with Microsoft Word and like making magazines. So, like, I'll throw together like images, or like we'll create a lot of custom stuff.
Yeah.
To offset. Or to offset the stockiness.
Yeah, you can definitely. There's definitely. I use a basic screen grab tool called Snagit, but there's a lot you can do to mess around with that image to make it look a little bit different.
Yeah,
or
crop it the way you crop it.
Yeah, the way you crop it. Yeah.
Platforms.
Going back to talking about the content calendar. So, okay, I'm generally not a Type A personality, but when it comes to content, I'm a little bit of a Type A personality, only because I have so many things to do. So I'm writing a piece of content at the same time. Like, I need to plan this out. Like, if I don't plan this out, if I don't make a calendar, I'm going to write this now and I'll post it then, it just won't get done. So how do you sort of balance it? Like, for a million things to do, I have to have a calendar of some sort or a schedule of some sort, or it's just going to get lost in the shuffle of everything else.
So we have content calendars, and we have like regular cadences of content for our clients. But there's like room in there. Like, we're not going to go more than 6 weeks without a blog post.
Right.
But we're not going to be like, publish on the 5th because the corporate guideline said so. And I've worked in that environment that's very like, oh, the 10th of the month is email day. So there is something to be said for like creating like something your audience are coming to expect, and them like knowing what to expect from it being valuable. Generally what we do with a content calendar is we'll plan out 3 to 6 months content ideas at a time. We'll revisit those with the client at the top of the month and basically say, okay, which one's next? Like, what's resonating right now? Or what has changed, like, seasonally? Like, especially right now, like, with COVID, like, we scrapped a bunch of our content calendars and wrote for our medical clients. We were writing, like, how to address emergencies or what to look out for, things like that. So, you have to be nimble, you have to be flexible. We write ahead. Like, when we onboard a new client, we might write the first 3-4 months of content. So, we're already ahead. So, yes, I'm saying we're not writing for the calendar, but we want that regular cadence and we want it to get approved. We also generally keep a backup piece of content on deck all the time. So that way, if something has changed drastically in the landscape, in the business, or whatever it is, we're not like, oh, our content doesn't work anymore. We have nothing. We have like whatever's pre-approved and backed up, ready to go.
Yeah, writing ahead is very, very important. It gives you a lot of flexibility. I mean, currently speaking, as we're recording this, who knows when I'm releasing this? I mean, I do know it's on a spreadsheet somewhere. We're in the middle of I don't remember. We're in the middle of the May 2020 core update, which means whatever I had planned to release next on my content calendar is scrapped. It's the core update is coming next.
Right.
So having that flexibility, like, all right, I have something in advance. I can scrap that. I have some flexibility. I can push it off for 2 weeks from now. It does a lot for you. It does a lot for you doing other things besides writing also. Like, I have 15 articles already set up. I mean, 15 is a lot, but I have a couple articles set up. Right, no one does. I just threw that number out there. No one has 15 articles. I have 3 maybe. But now I can do other things until then.
I will say though, we had a client that we were working with, and we did a content analysis, and we basically identified like kind of the 80-20 thing. So 20% of the content was driving 80% of the traffic. And we basically repurposed that 20% of, like, they had hundreds of articles, like years of archives. So we repurposed the top 20% of their content and their new content from the previous 6 months. And she was a prolific writer. She was an author. She was a speaker. And, we built out like a 15, 18 month social media calendar. I mean, talk about type A and spreadsheets. Like I had all sorts of like beautiful like concatenation rules in this spreadsheet for like all our UTM tags and our tracking, but also rewriting captions and then basically the heavy lifting was done. And having it available doesn't mean we have to use it. Like when we were like re-promoting the same piece of content on Twitter for a year, like it gets boring and it stops resonating. But we have the option. I'd rather have more social to choose from than less.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice balance, by the way. You have old content and you can sort of repurpose. It does like, wow, look at all the things they're talking about. Look at all the things they're writing about. Yeah, okay, you don't realize when on social media they wrote that 3 years ago, but...
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, I mean, evergreen content is good. And refreshing content is something it's definitely part of the process. Like we're actually onboarding another real estate client. My real estate clients, we're in Kansas City. Real estate is going well right now. I hope it's still going well by the time this airs. But Corona hasn't been bad for real estate around here.
Interesting.
And we're onboarding a new real estate client right now, and we're basically gutting their content. We're basically my afternoon today is dividing their website into the content to keep, the content to rewrite, and then the new content.
What are you looking for?
I mean, they have a lot of, like, they're ranking for a lot of event content, which is no longer relevant.
Oh, that's a whole, right, that's a big problem.
3 years ago.
Right.
And that's really the only thing they're ranking for.
Not good. By the way, note to self, or not to note to anybody listening to this, just because you're ranking well doesn't mean that it's good. Because you could be ranking for something totally irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a fun afternoon.
So how do you...
I like the planning stage. I like the data. I mean, we all do. That's why we're in the space.
Right.
But we, there are some great tools out there for your content ideation. You asked me at the very beginning about like my process and my steps. One of the things that I think is key is to get that client buy-in. And it sounds obvious, they've retained you, but you don't want to be like convincing your client why. Like build that trust, build that relationship, show them the data. But don't show them like a screenshot of analytics that makes no sense to them. Speak their language. And I mean, there was a client we worked with. We took over from another agency. I was like, hey, can you send me some of the recent reports before we start the process? They're like, what do you mean? I was like, well, could you email me? Could you forward me like the last 3 months of reports? And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, can we meet for coffee and go over them? I was like, yeah, sure. And we met for coffee, and she like came with this binder that the agency mailed. No, the agency mailed a binder quarterly. That was their reporting. There were no email reports.
That's insane.
And it was just screenshots of Google Analytics.
That's insane.
And I was like, this is your reporting? So yeah, speak the language.
That's
we did win that account. We're now doing their content too. We're doing their PPC and their email as well. But yeah, speak the language. And it goes both ways. Speak the language your clients speak, but also speak the language the audience is speaking.
I want to jump back to something you talked about the content calendar for a second, because it just hit my mind. I love content. I love content calendars. That's we're going to keep talking about it. But do you ever think about the frequency of your posting in terms of authority? In other words, if I'm going to be a part of the conversation, if I'm going to be part of this, whatever topic it is, let's say it's local real estate. So I'm going to be part of the local real estate scene. If Google wants to see me as a reputable authority on it, then I need to post frequently enough for them to realize, like, okay, I have a stake and I have a say and I have a sense of trust and authority because I'm posting often about it. I'm a very vocal proponent of whatever topic we're talking about, and you can clearly see that by how often I'm posting.
No, I absolutely agree. I think that's an area where your content distribution as well as your content creation comes into play. So we'll leverage Google My Business for local related content. Our content isn't just writing blog posts. Like we're actually in the middle of writing like neighborhood guides for some of our clients. So it's like walkability score, best gym, best grocery store, how many minutes to whatever. And going beyond that, we have like a check-in on that. Like when a new store opens, like we have a spreadsheet of all the attributes that are in there. So if like the barber shop closes down, well, we change that out in the content too. But then we refresh that content and we sort of weave it back into our social schedule too.
I mean, that's very authoritative in itself.
Exactly. And the other thing we do is, again, we do a lot of email for our clients. I really enjoy weaving that in. But we can link, like if we have a new listing, we don't do a whole lot of like new listing emails. We've kind of moved away from that. We go more into our content promotion for our emails. But we can say, hey, not only is this the property, but we have this sort of local guide. Again, going beyond that, we've got great internal linking going on as well because we have content to link to. It's not just a bunch of houses.
Right. Yeah, I'm wondering when you're doing something like this, or you're creating those like really authoritative content, you're creating like, really prolific, deep lists of what's going on locally. How do you? I mean, it's great, it's wonderful. It doesn't really sound sexy to a certain extent. Maybe I'm wrong. How do you take something like that that's really authoritative, very comprehensive, then push it on social media? You're like, check this out.
Part of it is we're selling lifestyle. Like we're selling a dream. The visual is important, and that's true of all content. Be it a social post, and it kind of builds on what you were saying about the stock images.
Yeah.
When I give a presentation, when I speak at events, I don't like a lot of writing on my slides. My slides are very visual.
Same thing.
And it keeps that attention. So if we are building content that is boring, we wrote a guide to. It was, how in the MLS system in the States, like there's all sorts of abbreviations and things like that in home descriptions. And basically the reason for that is it's kind of like when Twitter started. It was a character limit and they haven't updated it. We wrote a guide to all the local like floor plans and all these. I mean, that piece of content ranks for like 300 different terms.
That's awesome. Right. It's almost like a glossary.
It's a glossary. Yeah. It is boring. but the images are of like people being lazy in bed with a cup of coffee or people in their new home reading a book, and like you sexy up the images.
It's true.
To the boring glossary content.
It's true. It's almost to the point where like what you write in the tweet sometimes is not nearly as important as what it looks like. Even just the formatting of it.
I have a bit of a pet peeve, and I see this a lot in e-commerce where like I'm seeing a lot on Instagram recently actually with a big brand, but they have like a really cool visual, like a beautiful lamp or a beautiful whatever going on. I'm like, oh, I like that. My home could use that. You swipe up or you click and it's like email capture. I'm like, nope, I would like to buy, please. Nope. And then maybe I find the tiny little X in the corner, or maybe I don't. And then I get through to the landing page and it's not the sexy product I want to buy.
That's
it's like,
problem.
Here's your category. I'm like, no. I literally am ready to like check out on my phone and buy the thing, and I can't find the thing.
Right.
So it's the same thing. Like, don't bait and switch people with your content.
Right. No, you can't be sexy and not be content at the same time. Like it's just. Right. I know people. Yeah, right. Don't lie, because you're having about the conversion. Like they're gonna find out at a certain point that this is not what this was. What you thought it was. It's gonna happen, and they're gonna be pissed.
Yeah, and the brands that I've noticed this on a lot. They're a big e-commerce brand and they have like great SEO strategy. And some of the strategies I've implemented, I've learned from like people who've worked there and presented on their strategy. And I'm like, who's your PPC team? Like, what's going on here?
I mean, that's the worst when you click an ad and like the landing page is like nothing to do with what exactly what's going on here. But okay, perfect. Yep. And how did you rank for the ad to begin with anyway? We don't know, but okay, whatever. Anyway, so with that. I have this little game that I do with my guests. I call it Optimize It or Disavow It. It's where I'm going to give you two options, either two really good options or two really bad options. And that's because I think they're both good options. And you're stuck choosing one option over the other option. And I'm going to try to put you into a corner. What's that? Yeah, sort of. Or it's like start, bench, cut, one of these games. Marry, date, or I think it's the F word and whatever it's called. I'm not going to say it right. I got that right. Something like that, but SEO style. So this is the Yosef Silver version of Optimize It or Disavow It. Your two choices are overall reading level. You're targeting the overall reading level. You're thinking about the overall reading level, or because it's zero sum, you can only do one. You're optimizing your H2s. So you're either targeting your readers or your skimmers. Reading level.
Oh no, skimmers.
Because you have your skimmers. They're not even going to read it. They're just going to look at the H2s.
Yeah, but the readers are going to convert.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going to optimize it.
Okay, you're going to go for the readers. It's always good. It's always good to go quality.
Yeah.
It's cheap to go after the H2s. It doesn't feel good. I feel icky inside.
And then when we do rewriting in 3 months, we'll get to the H2s.
Right. It'd be great if great H2s, but the content's written by a first grader.
Right, to be fair, if you have great H2s, I mean, if you have the great H2s, isn't that just the bait and switch? If it's crappy content,
basically, yeah.
So yeah, I would optimize it.
That's true. I mean, unless you put the CTA right under the H2, they don't read the content. But again, you're kind of a jerk if you did that, I guess.
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
I'm writing for the audience.
Right
Well,
for the audience. Right. There's no tricks, really. Sometimes. Well.
I feel like you're making me second guess. No, I'm good.
All right, we're sticking with it, and that's it. Yosef, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate this. It was as fun as anything.
Real pleasure.
Awesome.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And we are back to your regularly scheduled In Search SEO podcast. He was so much fun. Like, it's like all my interviews are fun because I'm just a fun person, right? No? I guess.
No.
All right. I think I am sometimes. In a dark kind of way, but that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that with him.
Okay.
We had a connection, I felt like.
I'm sure you did.
It's the
That's
heart.
good.
It's the heart. Hold on, I gotta wipe away a tear first. All right. That being said, Sapir, I thought it was a very boring week in the news. I was bored out of my mind this week in SEO, but let's see what you have for us with the news. So, Sapir, please hit it with the news.
Google is strongly limiting demographic targeting for advertisers running ads related to housing, employment, or personal credit. This includes targeting by zip code, gender, age, marital status, and parental status.
Yeah, so this comes as a result of COVID-19, right? Where a lot of minority communities have been hit harder by the financial impact of COVID-19, and Google doesn't want businesses or advertisers to target those communities in nefarious sort of ways. Which it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. I very much agree with this one.
Yeah. Okay,
what else we
moving
got?
on.
Okay.
Google reiterated that all links from a guest post should be no followed.
So basically, this week was so boring in the news, and what we did was we took a story that Google's talked about 100 times and then talked about again and put it here.
Right.
By the way, I have a lot to say about this because I think that what Google said here makes absolutely zero sense, and I am not a spammy link building kind of person. I am the total opposite. I hate link building.
Right.
This is not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not I'm saying you shouldn't link
my
build.
thing, though.
Yes, you love link. Yes, you and long walks on the beach and disco dancing.
A long walk. Right.
Forgot about your love life this week. So I will talk about not Sapir's love life. I will talk about guest posting and links and no follows in a deep thought that will be on the Twitter page of this podcast, which is at @insearch_SEO. So look for that deep thought. Right.
Lastly, the EU has asked Facebook, Twitter, and Google to produce a report on how they are combating false information related to COVID-19. All three platforms have said they will commit to the EU's request.
EU here is genius. Total genius, okay? Of course, EU has a battle with Google going on and all that sort of wonderful stuff. They're no genius here because they're putting themselves in a power position and say, okay, Google, we want you to tell us what you're doing to make sure that crappy information related to COVID-19 shows up on your result pages. Right. So that Google is in a non-power position, having to acquiesce to the EU's demand.
Right.
What's Google going to say? No. We will not tell you how well we're doing at preventing crap from showing up for COVID-19 related queries.
Right, that's a bad PR move.
So they have to do it. They don't want to do it. So the brilliant move by the EU to put themselves into the power position over Google as part of their ongoing war, blah, blah, blah.
Right. That's all.
That's it. Great.
Yeah.
Like I said, wasn't really into the news this week. You did a great job with this up here, considering that I found the news to be very light and boring this week. But great job. Appreciate that.
I always do a good job.
I didn't say no. You always do a good job. As much as I give you a hard time.
I'm just stating facts here.
That's right. Just facts. No sarcasm. With that, let's head off to our fun SEO send-off question. This week's send-off question is brought to you by Sapir and the letter V for I don't know what.
What?
Sesame Street.
What?
We go through this every freaking time. We go through this every time. It's ridiculous already. Just watch Sesame Street. You'll know what I'm talking about.
You insist of making references to shows that you know I didn't watch. Like,
that's true. Because I don't know. I get a kick out.
It's so stupid.
I get a kick out of it. I feel good about it.
Yeah, I think.
Can we just get to the question? Come on.
Yeah. Okay. This week we're asking, if Google had an alter ego, what would be its name? I took inspiration from Eminem's Slim Shady.
Oh, did you? Well, then go for it.
Actually, I don't know. I don't really have an answer.
Wow. So you had this question. You didn't even think of an answer for yourself.
Yeah.
way to put effort into the podcast up here.
Hey, I came up with this question. It's more than you did.
Is it really? Going to ignore that comment.
Okay,
fine. My answer is Google's alter ego would be William, Donald William Percival Cunningham Ferguson the Third.
What the hell? Okay, why?
Because it's like a very like royal sounding name, like the Duke of whatever, the Duke of Edinburgh. That'd be his name. I don't know who the Duke of Edinburgh is. I just watched The Crown, and it's the name that sticks up in my mind.
You should have added the third or something.
No, it had to do with third. It's always the third.
Third.
Robert Covington, William Mark Ferguson the Third.
Covington. Okay. Wow, that was a
Philip Todd Mark John Covington the Third.
He got it.
You got it?
Morty.
Because Google acts like the royalty sometimes, and it could be a little bit of a pain in the rear end. See, I had a real answer. Okay. Unlike you. You have no criticism of me. You had no answer. It's like, I gotta say anything. You could have said chair. Chair. Google's alter ego's name is Chair. Why? I don't know. Whatever. And that'll do it with us. That'll do it for us. With this episode of the In Search SEO podcast. Don't forget to tune in next Tuesday for an all-new episode of the In Search SEO podcast. It's been In Search because we're all in search of something. Thank you so much for tuning in, and toodles.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.